Hi, my name is Kevon. This is Shockley, and if you haven't watched the news lately, there's this war going on in Russia, between Russia and the Ukraine, and people are talking about it. If you haven't been on social media or turned on the news, well, it's out there, it's in all the papers, and it's having an effect on people's mental health. I'd watched the news for the first time when it first started because I was being told about the impending world war and that kind of stuff. I became anxious. I watched the news. I had preached on it that Sunday night, and it became clear that I was looking at the wrong things. This whole Russian conflict thing isn't working out for my mental health. How do we help people with that?
Yeah, I have a lot of clients who come in talking about, the war and what's going to happen to Ukraine, and if it comes over into America and the nuclear, bombs and everything. And so my question in the beginning is, how much of the input are you taking in that is negative and all saturated within that? And then looking at what our boundaries are. If we are constantly absorbing all this information that has not been available to us for generations, but is now this ability to watch the news, read the news, listen to the news, podcast the news, social media the news, or your feelings about the news 24/7, it's going to have an impact on our brains and our bodies. And so I think a lot of times we need to talk about how much time we're spending each day feeding our brains and our bodies things that we've never been able to do as a society.
Yeah. Right now, we're looking right there at this camera, which is also my phone. And whenever I get a text message, it pops in over on the left. And we look at it. Now, since we've been shooting this video, President Joe Biden has called me 17 times to say, hey, what are your thoughts on what's going on in Russia? What should we do next? We haven't checked it because we're shooting this video. And that's also not true. No one's asking what me here in Oklahoma City wants to do about the Ukrainian conflict or the Russian conflict. And they're not asking you either. What can you control? Well, I can control how I interact with my kids. I can control what I'm praying for. Mm-hmm. I can control this little circle of the world that I've been put in, and I can't control what's happening in Russia. And so stay here. You're not, unless you're enlisting or hopping a plane or making decisions, stay here because, well, you're needed here. God put you here for a reason to make an impact in the circle that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, we have friends who are missionaries over in Mumbai, and they are connected to an organization that has missionaries in Ukraine. And the way that I felt like I could get involved was to specifically give to those missionaries. So there are ways that you can contribute to aid and help over there, but it ends with that. And so being able to do what you actually can do in small little tangible ways, and then being able to be present to what you've been given right here in front of you too.
Yeah, I once read a book called Crash the Chatterbox. It was a book on anxiety, and I normally read those books and I know how they're going to end. And this one did something different. It was talking about those voices and those things in your head that make you anxious. And I'm waiting for him to tell me how he's figured out that'll make those voices stop, or the chatter in your head stop. And he did something I did not expect. Instead of telling you how to make it stop, he told you to turn up the good around you. Listen to what God would say. I mean, it's almost as though God laid this out, whatever is good, whatever is praiseworthy, whatever. So think on these things. Make those your focus. Turn up the good, turn down the bad. And sometimes it might be important to turn off the TV.
Limits. Yeah. Limits are huge.
So if you want to talk to somebody about this, I know that as a person with young kids that I'm thinking about the world that my kids are in. If you're there and those are the thoughts that you're having, you're not alone, but you can't live there because right now you're in that world. Mm-hmm. Stay there and don't allow the war in Russia to take your mental health here where you're at. If you want some help, call Holly over at Thrive. Call me. We'd love to work with you.